on sharing this with the guys of the Platteville chapter. We have this thing called Man Time, where all the guys come together at the church and just talk about a lot of things that we as men can be helping out in the chapter and growing and doing that. So for tonight, I guess women pretend to be men, because that's what I'm going to be dressing on campus. So that's what I'll be addressing. Also, I guess just a disclaimer before I start. The knowledge that I have from this is very general on women. It's stuff that I've kind of learned about. I know every woman is different. I'm not trying to say you're all the exact same here. This is the very general knowledge about women that I'm going to be bringing up in this talk. So yeah, with that, I'll jump right into it. So going into this talk, I had planned on trying to find something really funny for you all to laugh at and get really engaged, so you'd all be ready and listening during this entire time. But after I thought about it, I started writing things down. I realized that this isn't a conversation that I want to have. I want to take it very seriously. I want to be very blunt and upfront with all of you. And it's something that I find very serious and that we need to address in this campus that I've seen a very lack of attention to. And that's us being brothers to our sisters. We fail to do that. So often we're trying to be in the spotlight of their attention and taking the focus off of God. Instead of coming alongside them, we try to get in their path and say, hey, look at me. I want you to look at me, and taking the focus off God. Instead, we should be coming alongside them as teammates, trying to encourage them, grow them, love them, so that they're looking towards Jesus on that path. I've had some personal struggles with this. There's some struggles in my past that hurt me, that I had to go through those, that I hurt others in that. It was near the end of my high school career, high school time, I guess. And I was dating a girl who was a Christian. I became a Christian through that relationship, and that relationship grew me a lot, but it was also very unhealthy, both physically, emotionally, as well as a very jealous relationship. That meaning that I didn't have any relationships with girls outside that relationship, and I don't think she had very many with guys. But either way, we were both very jealous, and there was no friendships outside of that. So that relationship came to an end at the end of my high school career. And so going into college, all of a sudden it's like, girls, I can talk to them, I can interact with them, I can create friendships with them. But I went a lot farther than just friendships. I was emotionally pointing into these girls. I was emotionally getting invested in sharing my life story, my passions, my dreams. And to me, it was just friendly conversation. It was just friendly talk. It was nothing more than that. I was trying to be the cool guy that got their attention that they would desire and look at and want over everything else. And I was finding work in that. That's where I was finding work. But it was about a year later that my staff worker, we have a husband and wife as our staff workers, and the woman staff worker came up to me in a joking manner and said, hey, you were the stud of the freshman class. Now, I'm not trying to say that being prideful, but a lot of girls that she was discipling that freshman year said that they had feelings for me and admitted to that. And that was a lot because of the way that I emotionally poured into them and tried to tell them how all my life things. And I saw those as just friendships, and I ditched those friendships when it came to going into next friendships. And I didn't see it as a problem. I just simply thought it was okay because I just had these friendships and good talks with them. So I heard a lot of people in ways that I don't even want to imagine. Through that, when I first heard that comment, I kind of laughed it off, but then reflecting on it, I realized I must have had a lot of pain. I probably caused a lot of them to not be able to create relationships with the guys on the campus, in the chapter, because they aren't going to trust them to not do this exact same thing that I did. I heard them. That I also probably, excuse me, I have that sickness finally. But I was also struggling because I was stopping them from learning a lot about God that freshman year, which is a crucial year for both men and females to learn about God and grow in their faith. But I was taking their attention off of God, and I was causing them to miss out on a lot of that learning that they could have done that freshman year. Let me put it into perspective for all you guys on how easy it is to take a focus off of God. I'm going to be blunt with all of you. This is not going to be something that I'm just going to sugarcoat. But bear with me. So men, I just want you to, I guess, imagine the feelings that you would have if you you were to see a girl stripped down completely naked in front of you, imagine the lust, the desire, the want you'd have for them, and how much your focus would be off of God. I know me personally, the lust would be too much. That I wouldn't be able to control it, that I would be struggling to no end with trying to focus on God, and it would be all on her. And those are real. Those are real lust that's in my heart. And now I want you to think back to that time, or now I want you to think of the time that you were emotionally pointing to a girl, that it was just your friend, that you were just, sharing your life stories, your passions, your dreams, and all that. You thought it was just a friendly conversation, but now think back to those feelings that you had when you saw this girl naked in front of you. It's not the same kind of sexual lust, but that girl is struggling just as much with her focus on God as you were with her, like you're standing in front of you naked. And I know it's hard to imagine that, but it's the truth. We as guys struggle just as much physically as girls do emotionally in friendships. And we gotta realize that. We gotta understand that going into these friendships that we have with our sisters in Christ. As we're coming alongside them and trying to focus them towards God. If we don't know this, we're simply taking their focus off God and putting it on ourselves. So before I get to the how-tos, the things that we can do to treat our sisters like they deserve, we got to see them as not girls, but as women. That's something that I didn't do until this last school year. That, for me personally, I didn't see them as much more than just girls that didn't mean a whole lot. That, I don't know, they weren't what they should have been to me. And it was this last school year that I was able to finally realize that there were some roadblocks in my vision that were keeping me from seeing them as more than just objects. And there was one roadblock in particular. My addiction to porn was one that lasted for about 8 years. Actually, let me go back here for a second. You might be wondering, how does porn have anything to do with this? Let me tell you, it has everything to do with how we see girls. Everything. You can't separate the lustful side of your life from the godly loving and sister loving side of your life. There is no doing that. No, the lustful side creeps into every aspect of our imaginations, of our personalities, of our identity as guys. And we see these girls as objects for our imagination to play with, as objects for us to undress in our minds and not think of anything of. They just become objects. Nothing more than that. How can we come alongside them if that's how we see them as? We aren't seeing them as God's creation, beautifully made in His image. No, instead we're just lustfully looking at them. I can't do this. So going back to my story, porn was something I struggled with for 8 years. Porn masturbation. It started early, and it was up until this last school year that was finally defeated in me. It was about the first week of the semester when I finally realized I had it. I didn't want this anymore. I was leading a Bible study. I was in a relationship, still am in a relationship with an awesome woman in Christ. But how did I expect to do that thing if I was in this lustful situation? And I was telling myself how crappy I was, how cruddy I was trying to do those things while I was dealing with this sin in my life. So when I finally had it, I shared it with a guy that I trust very much so in a club that I'm involved with at the church in Ivli. And he told me 3 things that have stuck with me till this day. The first one being that I need to no longer try harder to break that sin in my life, but to trust God more. And let Him break that sin in my life. Let Him be the one to unroot that in my life. In order to do that, I had to trust in Him, not in my own ability to break it, not my own ability. The second one was So the second one was being that I needed to no longer keep this sin in the dark. That I was keeping it hidden away from everything else, from visible sight, and because of that, Satan was able to use it to his glory. He was able to use it in my life to his glory, and not helping me be a witness, not Kenny's. And so I had to expose that in the light, tell people, expose light to that sin so God could root that out of my life. And the third one was that I needed to no longer listen to the voice of Satan tell me how crappy I was, how I didn't deserve to lead a Bible study, how I didn't deserve to be in a God-centered relationship. Those lies that I believed when I fall into that sin. And instead, I needed to listen to the voice of the Holy Spirit tell me that He loves me, that isn't for me, that I should be focused on God. And so going into the week following that, I was so pumped because I thought I had broken this. God had gotten it out of my life. I knew how to do it now. These 3 easy steps to breaking pornography addiction. That wasn't it. It was a week later when I fell back into that lust, that sin, that pornography. But something different happened at the end of that. It wasn't the voice telling me how crappy I was. No, it was a voice saying, I love you. I don't want this for you. You don't need this. And at that moment, I realized just how much I didn't want that sin. I didn't want that pornography. I didn't want the women that were on those videos. I didn't want that. I wanted God. And at that moment, such a weight was lifted off my shoulders, and I could see Him in a whole new light. I could see Him in just the beautiful creation He is. It was amazing. But not only that, I was able to see the women as women, not as girls. I was able to see them for the beautiful creation that they are. The women, I don't say girls anymore, because they're women of Christ. The ones on InterVarsity campus, InterVarsity chapter in Platteville, the ones on campus, the ones in the cities. I saw them as true women that I could respect and love and want to look at Jesus just as much as I want the guys in my chapter of the Bible study that I lead. Sisters became actual sisters to me. The love I had for them was no longer a lustful, false-given love, but a real, godly-given love for them. And it blew me away how much I was able to come alongside them, how much I was able to love on them, have friendship, true friendships with them. And it was once we finally see that they are individual, beautiful, loving, and amazing women of Christ. It's at that point that we can finally start the journey of how to treat our sisters like they deserve to be treated. Before I get into the how-tos of how we can be treating our sisters, I want to go to Scripture. In John 4, the Samaritan woman, we see how Jesus serves the woman. She comes to the well, and He asks her, give me a drink. And we all know that that's not the actual water that He's asking for, but He's talking about the true living water that He can provide for her and love on her for. He is serving her in such a loving way, coming alongside this woman in such a loving way. And we see later on, I'm not going to get into the big details, but we see later on that many Samaritans from the town believed in Him because of the woman's testimony. He told me all that I ever did. She was able to go into the town and share her testimony because Jesus loved her, supported her, came alongside her. And so many people came to Christ through that. So why are we not willing to come alongside our sisters so that they can go out and create disciples, so they can go out and witness? Why are we so against that? It's expanding the kingdom. That's what we want, isn't it? That's what we want as Christians. We want the kingdom to go out. We want to resemble Jesus. And why would we not want our sisters to do the same? So Jesus is that example that we need to follow. The example that we need to look at. We gotta be aware of these things. So now that we have Jesus as an example for our lives, we can kind of address those how-tos, the few ways that I have, but there's so many more that we can treat our sisters with respect and love. The one I see most commonly on this campus that disgusts me is flirting. Figure out what flirting is and don't do it. There is a line between being friendly and flirting. And yeah, I know the friendship, the relationship, the length of however long it's been can change that line. But figure out what that line is and don't cross it because you're just taking their focus off of God. And it's not healthy. You might think it's fun, but you don't know the damage that you are doing in that situation. Don't flirt. Don't do that stuff with women that you're not interested in. And even when you're interested, I will get to that later. You need to make sure you're doing the right thing about it. One-on-one time, unless it's in a public situation, don't do it. It's not healthy. And don't give me that baloney excuse that you're praying with her. Because you can bet your hiney that Jesus is not the only man on her brain when you're praying. If you which is a great thing to do. Do it in a public place. Do it at a coffee shop, the student center. Go come alongside her in the public areas. And if you're not interested in this woman, don't be sharing your life story. Don't be sharing your deepest, darkest secrets with her. No. Just pray for her, love her, come alongside her. Be there for her. But not in such a personal way that you're drawing her focus on God. But this leads to my next one, DTRs. Define the relationship. If you are interested in this woman, you need a DTR. If you think there's even a hint of more than a friendship there, DTR. Figure out where that relationship is at. Bring light to where it's at. Because if you don't, there can be so much pain. So much pain. And have a plan going into it. Don't go into it saying, all right, let's DTR. What do you think? How's that going to work? How's that? You're going to put her in such a situation that just is uncomfortable for her and not healthy because you're just putting her on the spot. So know how you feel about her going into that DTR and be honest with her. Be upfront with her. Tell her how you feel. I have a real close friend that was hurt because of a lack of a DTR. A really solid friendship was created. A friendship that was so deep, though, so rooted in personal things, so caring and just connected. But when that guy went and dated her best friend, dated someone that she didn't think he liked, it hurt her so badly. It's been a 3-year healing process for her because of how deep that relationship was, that friendship was, and nothing came of it. If there had been a DTR, I can't imagine how much less hurt there could have been in that situation. If she had known where that friendship was at, there could have been so much less pain. So guys, why? Why put a awesome woman of Christ through that much pain? Just DTR it. Figure out where that friendship's at so that that pain can be avoided. So I've been sharing some personal ways that you can be brothers to our sisters. But there's also some public ways. Compliments and affirmation are huge. The way you go about this are so vital. Giving a woman a compliment of, oh, you're so pretty, you're so beautiful, isn't going to help them in the long run. It's not going to help them focus on Jesus. Sure, they're good things. They're good compliments that are good intended and have good on your heart, but that's not what you want to focus on. That's not where you want to keep your focus. No, instead you want to be focused on getting them to desire to resemble Jesus, to look towards Jesus. Their compliments should be focused on Jesus, finding their identity in Jesus and nothing else. Yeah, these might be corny, but these are some good examples of ways that we can come alongside them. I don't know, great observation at Bible study today. I mean, yeah, it's corny, but it works. Great job taking initiative and leadership. That was really cool that you did in Bible study. Yeah, they might be corny at the time, but they affirm their identity in Christ. They affirm the way that they're resembling more like Jesus. And that is what we want. That is what we want, guys. So why not do it? And the last one, you guys, is don't pay all the attention to the pretty, outgoing woman of the chapter. You're simply you're hurting the women that are less talkative, that are quieter. And you're making them look towards her and figure out what's she doing to get this attention. And they no longer look to be like Jesus, but to be like her. So how is that helping her? We need to come alongside every single one of our sisters equally and help them all want to be like Jesus. And nothing else. Respect that, guys. So guys, I know that these women we're talking about all have their own walks, their own faith. They're very smart women. They're not stupid. But we still hold so much responsibility in their walks, more than we care to understand. So why do we ignore that? We gotta take responsibility for that. Remember, guys, we must not be the teammate, or we must be the teammate that comes alongside our sister in love and care, not the hurdle in their way as they walk the path.